All right, here we are. It's about that time. It's almost the draft here. We're excited. Hopefully, you're excited. We got Evan Weaver coming to us live today from, I'm not really sure, Evan, but you're joining Ted and I. Where are you right now?
Spokane, Washington right now. Home is home, I guess.
I like that. I like that. Home is going to be something new for you here in the
Yeah.
very short future.
Uh,
I guess first and foremost, like, how's the health of you and your family amid COVID-19, and how have you dealt with this craziness in your world?
yeah, I mean, we're all good here. Staying inside, social distancing, 6 feet apart, which is nice, especially considering when you go back to live with your parents for a little bit. You don't want to see them too often, and yeah, I mean, just been following the rules, not really doing a whole lot except for working out.
Who are you bench pressing? You have like a couple people you can pile up the bench.
No, we got a little weight rack in the garage in some areas, so it's pretty nice.
Wow. Have you been able to like think about where you came from? I mean, it's not like you were some five-star recruit that people pegged as being the guy that would lead the nation in tackles by more than double digits. And now you're back in that like same room you grew up in as you get ready for this draft.
Yeah, I mean it's insane. Just reflecting back on not just my Cal career but high school and like everything that like got me to where I'm at, and just it's truly a blessing just to be able to, my dreams are gonna come into a reality next week. So
But let's stay on that theme for just 1 second. With Evan here about Cal, because that's what and those that can see this, he's proudly wearing his Golden Bear shirt. Where do you think Cal football is now, Evan, as you step away from the program to move on? What you're leaving behind? Where do you think the program is?
well, it's a lot better than when I came in, that's for sure. Long gone are the days of scoring 50 and giving up 60. So I think they have a shot to make a run next year, and it'll be exciting to watch them. Hopefully everybody stays healthy next year, and they're really able to put together a full season.
And we watch from the outside. So tell us from the inside the change you saw that Justin Wilcox now has instituted over his short time at Cal.
Yeah, I think it was just players wanting to play for him. People showing up every day, ready to work and ready to get everything done. And I feel like that's just something that he instilled, and just people, wanted to play and really showed up and wanted to win some games instead of being okay with going 5-7 every year.
Yeah, that's an interesting sentence, wanting to play. Do you feel as though, I feel like you've always wanted to play. Like you probably wanted to play since the moment you came out of the womb, but college players in general, and even in the NFL, I'm sure you've heard elements of it, of guys playing for whether it's the attention of college, or maybe they were just good in high school and got a scholarship, or they're getting paid in the league. Like, have you felt the shift at Cal for the guys who like truly want to play versus the ones that may have to be coerced to have to
Oh,
play a certain way?
no, for sure. Because my freshman year, there was, I'd say, over half the locker room was just kind of, okay, yeah, I'm on a team. I get to go tell my girlfriend I'm playing college football. There's no fun in being on a team and like that. And then now Coach Wilcox has brought in the right type of guys who all want to play together and want to win. And I feel like he's really turned it around. I mean, 2 bowl games back-to-back years, a big game win. It's huge stuff.
So, Yogi, when Evan talks about wanting to play and how those attitudes change, the first thing I think about is his interview at Ole Miss. So Evan, how many people, and did NFL people ask you about that?
Really? Like no one's really asked me about it. It's kind of, yeah. I think it's probably because a Pac-12 team beat an SEC team, so they don't really want to talk about that type of stuff.
That's why we do. Well, let's keep talking about it. It was great.
No, exactly. It should be brought back around on social media. That was an all-time clip right there. Bears and 4.
You don't know. I spent a lot of time as a young guy around what became the WWF and now the WWE, and I knew a lot of the great wrestling managers and announcers. not many of them are still going in this day and age. They would have been so proud of that. That was just a crushing WWE interview right there.
Yeah, no, it was spur of the moment. Yeah. I mean, I just let it all go on that one. So I mean, I knew I wasn't going to play him again, so why not?
I love that. Okay, so have you felt as though, as you've gone through this transition, I always like a quote that Justin Wilcox gave Ted and I prior to calling one of your games your senior year. We did the final game against Stanford that you'll ever play. We called that game. And before the game, I remember it like yesterday, Ted, where he said, linebackers, their job is to tackle who has the ball. Evan Weaver tackles who has the ball better than anybody in the country. So, Evan, to that point, do you feel like NFL coaches, executives have tried to put you in a box based on your skill set? And if so, what box do you feel that you're in?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think they don't really know how well I can play, and they probably see the number 89 and they're like, that's not a linebacker. We're gonna stay away from him. They see Cal. I mean, not a big time program. It's whatever though. I mean, whoever drafts me is gonna get one hell of a player, and the other 31 teams are gonna be out of luck. So I'm not really worried about that, because I mean, if they put me on the field, I'm not coming off. So.
And that's a great question, because Evan, we've so admired you because of your production. In terms of there's talk and there's hype and there's stars and build-up. Then there's actually playing on the field. So as you've gone through the abbreviated process that you've gone through this year, how much did you sense people were judging you by what you did on the field as opposed to the measurables?
Yeah, I mean, people, judge on the field a little bit, but I think it's mainly off the measurables. I mean, it's a fashion show. It's pointless. I mean, last time I checked, Usain Bolt can run a probably 4.140, but he's not going to be good at playing football. So, I mean, it's it's a man's game, and a lot of these guys are boys trying to play. So, I mean, they can't hang, and it's just when I get on the field, stuff's gonna happen.
So speaking of getting on the field, unfortunately, you haven't been able to do that a lot for NFL scouts, right? You were at the Senior Bowl, you've gone through some of the natural moments of the combine, et cetera. Then the world just got halted. What has it been like? Like, we've read a lot online. I read that you just went and had a visit with the Steelers. Like, what does that even mean to have a visit with the team now?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird, because there's like an hour time limit on it too, and so you're over Zoom, and they're trying to install a playbook, and you're giving it back to them, and they got like 8 guys on the Zoom sitting there, like 6 of them are sitting there just taking notes the whole time. The other 2 are looking at you, and you're just kind of like, all right, well, whatever. And it's really interesting, because you can't really read like body, like any of that. You just kind of like go with the flow, I guess, and don't make any wrong moves, because it's not a very long first impression.
Evan, so much of the NFL seems to be, as opposed to college, where teams just recruit and try to sign the best players. NFL has largely been fitting into their scheme. Have you sensed that in your conversations with the teams about
the scheme
they run?
A lot of it's fitting into their scheme. Just coaches trying to find their type of guys. And that obviously takes away some teams for certain things, and but I'm not too worried about it.
I could tell. I love that about you. What's been something that maybe has surprised you from this process, whether it's a question or something that someone from a team has asked of you?
I think, I don't know if I should say this, but I think just how kind of pointless like 50% of the combine was, because I think they like extended it by a day, and it does there. Yeah, a lot of it's just sitting around waiting, but all people only care about the 2 hours that you're on the field, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But that's just my opinion.
Did you get a steak at St. Elmo's?
I did not know. So they moved everything back. We were actually gonna have steaks that night, and then they moved everything back and got off the field at like 11:15. So everything was already shut down, and I had a 6 a.m. flight the next morning. So had to get to bed, pack everything up.
Yeah, that's what I think the combine is all about. Is about all of the NFL execs and scouts, etc. Just go have great steak dinners for a week. That's pretty what it's like the gig, I think.
Yeah, they get to go to the bars every night and eat steak dinner, and then we're going to sleep at 1 and waking up at 5 every morning. So gotta love it.
Evan, did you take this Wonderlic test?
I did, yeah.
So I mean, I'm not asking any trade secrets here. I'm just interested because we hear about it. Again, give us a first person's view of what it was like. What is it?
Well, I think it was pretty easy, honestly. I mean, I've never really had a problem with learning and stuff, so I probably got mid to high 30s on it. I finished 48 questions, so it's not too bad. And yeah, I mean, yeah, just kind of, yeah, I thought it was pretty easy. I mean, and then I started talking to some other dudes though, and they kind of got like maybe like one dude I was talking to got 14 questions in, and that wouldn't work at Cal. I can promise you that much. So.
I think that's a really interesting point because we often in the draft talk about offensive players, and a lot of times offensive players, at least I think Ted and I, they've got the most work to do. Quarterback, Justin Herbert never took a snap under center, so that's like the headline everywhere. How's he going to do? Defensive players, take us inside you, right? You're the reigning player of the year in this conference. Like, how much have you had to learn or try to study to be able to converse in these meetings with NFL coaches and GMs?
I mean, I kind of learned on the fly a little bit, from meetings, because kind of like the Senior Bowl was a little bit of like kind of a practice round type of deal for the combine, so that was nice. And then and I'm a quick learner too, and I'd watch some tape, talk to some players I know, and try to get like because terminology is the hardest part. It's just it's all the same thing. It's just terminology. And all they're trying to do anyway is like install a cover 3 or like a quarters. And I mean, if you don't know how to play cover 3 or quarters now, I don't know how you're ever going to get in an NFL locker room. So, I mean, that's just that's just pretty simple stuff, especially with the time limits and stuff that they have. So it's not anything too hard.
But that's a great point, guys, because this is going to be something. Evan, you're going to go through this with several hundred other draftees, and then on top of that, the unsigned free agents. And I saw it happen, it was 9 years ago, when in August, everybody got called in when a strike and a lockout finally ended, and there had been no offseason program, nothing. No mini camps, no OTAs, and they told the teams, you get like 10 days, and now we're going to play preseason games. And man, it was rugged. And so I'm just interested from your standpoint, because you're going into this, that whoever drafts you, wherever you end up, you may not be with them until August.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm preparing for too. Is just walking into the locker room and having really conversed with the veterans or the coaches, and so hopefully I'll be able to get a playbook, start studying it, and I feel like I'll have probably 95% of it down by the time I walk into fall camp, and so I mean, I wouldn't be too worried, but it's probably going to be a little harder for some of my competition that doesn't really know how to read or didn't go to Cal. So there you go.
So speaking of Cal, how's the Cal community? Jordan Kanashik, obviously the head coach of the Redskins, like Ron Rivera, Cal alums. How have they helped you, if they have, in this process?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a few people. They've helped a lot. Just little things left and right. And then I actually talked to Brett Rippon, who was Boise State's quarterback back in the day, because he's from Spokane. Talked to him today. Just chatting and just try to get some pick their brains, get whatever I can out of them. Anybody and anywhere I can get anything from, I soak it in, and because you can always learn a little bit more.
What's something that maybe Jordan shared with you about transitioning to the NFL?
Just knowing that when you walk into the locker room, everybody's equal. Just know that everybody has to earn their way. that type of deal, and nothing that I've never had to do before, so not too worried about that.
Hey, can we make you a draft analyst here for a minute, Evan?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So, because I'm fascinated to hear this, because right now this is the time of year when all of the people in our end of the world analyze everything, mock drafts, blah blah blah. I'm just interested because there's two quarterbacks that you played against that are, one's definitely going to be a first rounder, the other one might be.
Herbert's a lot better than the other one. I can promise you that.
Yeah. So, but you as a defender, just tell us about Herbert and Eason.
All right, let's see. Herbert's a lot smarter. Maybe not as good as an arm talent, but makes really good decisions. Can run really well, and knows how to make checks and everything on the line. Eason, I mean, he's good, really strong arm, a lot of potential, and I'm just gonna keep it right there before I cross the line.
How about Anthony Gordon? I talked to a coach in your conference this year. Obviously, he balled out in the Senior Bowl. What did you learn about him down there that maybe you didn't know?
I mean, Gordo, he's going to be a good quarterback, I think. He's a really smart guy. I didn't really know how smart he was until I started actually having some conversations with him at the Senior Bowl. And super smart guy, super heady, really good leader. I've talked to a few guys at Washington State, so I mean that's a really good thing for a quarterback. And I mean he can obviously play with the best of them. But as much as they can pass and everything, they're doing a really good job. Okay, yeah, sorry, my thing kind of went away there for a second, but yeah, no, he's a good quarterback.
I love that. All right, so I want to read you this because I always think this is really fun to read the strengths and weaknesses. I'm going to read a couple for you, and this is the draft profile of Evan Weaver.
How about the body turning at the beach, huh?
Oh, so you've read these before?
Oh, I mean, I've read that dummies thing, but there's a reason half these dudes have never played football in their life. So
yeah, where's this coming from, Yogi?
Well, so we're going NFL.com, where they kind of have the strengths and weaknesses. Strengths, because we like staying positive here. Outlandish production dating all the way back to early high school. Great teammate, elite competitor. Instinctive with elite recognition of blocking schemes. Those are some of the strengths. Some of the weaknesses, you referenced them already. Won't be a head turner at the beach.
Wow.
Built like do you want to comment on that one?
Built like a stubby center, right, with short arms. Yeah, I mean, like, good Lord, it's I believe that's the Lance dude. Yeah.
So all right.
In my ass, I guess. I don't really know what else to say.
I appreciate that. I'll stop there, but I want to pivot. You told Ted and I a story that I will never forget for the rest of my life, that when you were in high school, you had a stone of sorts, and you would write down either people's names or things that motivated you, and as you achieved them, you'd cross them off that stone. What is on that stone now as you enter the next phase of your career?
I ran out of room on that stone, so I'm gonna have to actually go get a new one. I'll just be able to walk right out there in the backyard and grab one. But I think he's definitely gonna be on it for sure.
So Evan, what's the draft weekend going to be like in your home? I think we were talking before we started. You're not having a camera. You're not going to have any of that intrusiveness in your house, are you?
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a close family. Try to stay as healthy as possible, and close family, and just time to be together, and see where the marbles roll. I guess I don't really know.
Yeah, do you go in with that mentality of, hey, we'll see, or do you have the dozen teams that you have a lean towards?
I mean, I'll go in seeing who they have above me, quote unquote, as linebackers, and marking them off, because hopefully, there'll probably need to be about 5 or 6 guys in front of me, I think. Then I'll be like, okay, then I can go. So, so just wait for that type of stuff, and yeah.
That's really cool. All right, I got 2 last ones before we let you go. One, because I know you're a steward of the game, there's potentially a rule in college football that may get passed, which is a one-time transfer opportunity from a 4-year school to a 4-year school. I see your head shaking. Curious your thoughts on that.
I think it's stupid. I mean, once you commit to a school. I mean, that's basically just like a guy committing and decommitting in high school about 8 times. I mean, I think it's a joke, because let's say you're first team All-American your sophomore year, second team your freshman year, and you go to like Cal, and then Alabama calls, hey, come start for us, come win a national. Well, screw that, like that's
So let me give you one case we've just seen, Evan, and get your view on this. Suppose you just signed to play last year at Colorado, and your coach just walks out, just abandons you.
You don't sign up for the coach. You sign up for the school. So coaches can leave. It's a job.
Yeah. No, I like where your head's at. You clearly have takes on it. So the last take I'll ask you for is, you're done playing for the institution that you love. You've left a great legacy in our eyes, but in your eyes, as you enter the NFL and put on another jersey, what do you hope you leave with the fans out west, specifically in Berkeley, about what you stood for in your career?
I think leadership, competitiveness, and like a good community role model, somebody that is willing to engage with fans. Not above anyone else, just being able to like have a good time, make sure everybody else is having a good time too, and leave the program better than when I found it.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been a thrill watching you play, joy. And I'd say this, I do, as a Heisman voter, I put a defensive player on my Heisman ballot every year. I just think it's important for the credibility of that award that a defensive player gets. You were on the ballot this year. And that's what I hope the NFL people see with that kind of production.
I appreciate it.
You got it, Evan. We will be cheering you from afar. We'll stay in touch. Hopefully get you back on the pod once you find out where you're going to land.
No doubt. All right.
Hey, Karen, balmy Spokane. Beautiful there.
Beautiful. All right. I'll see you.
See you, man.
Bye.
Yeah. How about that? Evan Weaver, what'd you think?
Oh, he's phenomenal. I mean, it's a great story. And so we have some exceptional student athletes that we've had a chance, to meet doing this job. And the past year we met a few, and I mean, I've thought a lot about Joshua Kelly, the UCLA running back, who, we talked to him quite a bit this past year, and he gambled on himself, and it paid off, right, at UCLA, and Darnay Holmes, and what a terrific background story he has. And of course, then you get Justin Herbert, who wins the Campbell Trophy, and all that reflects, as well as someone who's going to be, not in all likelihood picked in the first round. But then this guy that we just said, he touched on it. I mean, people may look at him and think it's Cal, which is wrong. Look at the number and think, what is that? That's wrong. And you just watch him play. Man, that's to me is the best lesson of the whole Evan Weaver story. Is what did you do? At some point we stopped. That's why I asked him a question, about measurables. And through my last decade, believe me, I've listened to it a lot from both sides. And I've heard it a lot from the pro side about so-and-so's arm length, so-and-so's shuttle cone, so-and-so this, and all the measurables. And that oftentimes determines a draft selection. And sometimes you just say, but did the guy play?
Yeah.
Did he tackle the guy with the ball? Did he catch the ball that was thrown to him? That's the receiver's job, right?
You nailed it. We had a chance to talk to David Shaw, heading into the draft. It'll be on the Pac-12 Network. There's a new podcast there called Pac-12 Perspective, and he always looked at a few things. We talk about them, right? It's instinct. Like, do you have instinct? Can you play? And I think of the 2 greatest players that I grew up watching were Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. Terrible testing, didn't look the part. You were with Joe at Notre Dame. I mean, instinct.
Well,
And I think Evan has as good of it at that position as we've seen, at least out here in a while.
and the other part, as you said, I did have firsthand experience with Joe going back 1,000 years. But I mean, I can tell you, one of Joe Montana's, who was an extraordinary athlete in his era. People didn't understand what a great athlete he was. He didn't shine in practice, and this was back in an era when it was still the old school, like, I want to see you crush people in practice every day, and that's how you play. Well, Joe didn't necessarily do that, but when he played, and when the lights were really bright, there's nobody better, and that's what he needed. He needed the good fortune of being able to get on the field, right? Because other guys get hurt. That's how he gets on the field. Once he gets on the field, it was like Anthony Gordon this year. It was a little bit of that, right? Guy waits 5 years to play, and when he finally got on the field and played, did pretty well.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend in the draft. All right, before we let you go, and we'll touch upon this in our next episode with greater detail, but Evan Weaver, he alluded to the one-time transfer rule. JT Daniels, it finally comes out. It's about a 48-hour window from when you put yourself into the portal to when it hits the airwaves. It just hit earlier today. I've had the ability to communicate with him. If the rule passes, it's a great rule for him because he can go be eligible.
He could play next year, right?
He could play next year. And I think we're going to see a lot of those transfers. But here we are at USC. We've seen Jack Sears depart. Matt Fink hit the portal, came back last year. He's still there. Obviously, Keaton Slovis is there. What's your initial reaction, JT Daniels saying see you later and entering the portal?
I expected it. I think we talked about this off the air a little bit. I expected it and I don't know JT like you do, but just looking at the tea leaves and the way Keaton Slovis played last year, I mean, it was pretty hard to say. And JT Daniels, as we all understand in this era, JT Daniels did not go to USC to compete for the job. That's not what he went there for. So he was going to be coming back off an ACL, which is already, something of a question. It's not crippling by any means, but it's something. And to compete, I didn't see that as a realistic scenario for him. So I personally think, and it's interesting because, again, I come at it from a totally different viewpoint than Evan does, in that I think that's okay for college players, because when you just see the complete, what coaches can do, not very few do it. I'm not trying to blanket, umbrella, smother the profession. That's not my point. But when a coach can do what happened in Colorado this year, that's wrong, in my view. And a player should have some remedy to that. Evan, again, come at it from a different viewpoint, and I respect that. I just feel, so this one-time transfer thing to me, which is not connected to coaches, it's connected to scenario. And in JT's case, it's connected to an injury, right? An injury changed his path. I have no problem with him being able to have a free pass to do one time.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that kids come to college, if we're being blunt, to play, and if they can get a great degree, that's amazing. We can count on two hands, the schools that are elite from an academic standpoint, where you're like, you know what, maybe it trumps playing. I talked to Donald Stewart earlier this morning, transfer from Stanford. He's going to finish his degree there. And he's at Wake Forest, and that's where he's going to play. That's where he transferred to. So I'm with you there. I think for JT, it's early to speculate, but I'll do it anyway. You look at the West Coast. I look at Washington. Right? They're really young there. They got a freshman, redshirt freshman, and redshirt sophomore. Nobody's played more than a handful of snaps. Jacob Sermon. We were there when he played a little bit in week 2. I think it was against Hawaii last year, or Eastern Washington. That's who it was. So you have that. I don't know who else on the West Coast. And then you look at LSU, right? Another major program who they have Miles Brennan, who I love, but hasn't played a lot. So those, to me, right off the bat, there's a lot of places he can go in and play. But when we talk about a guy going to an elite program, those are ones that jump to mind. We'll see what happens here. I know he's not in a crazy rush to do anything, wants to make sure the rule passes first. But those are two places I could see him going.
Boy, that's LSU. When you talk about walking into a boiling pot, pressure. He did it as a freshman at USC, so it's not that JT Daniels is fearful of pressure. I'm just saying that's, to walk in and follow Joe Burrow and follow that. Ooh, wow. Hey, let me follow with one last point on my end. I don't know if you talked to David Shaw about this, but it's why I asked this question to Evan, is that I'm going to be curious just watching the draft unfold about the scenario caused by the pandemic, in that if you are an NFL team coming off an off years, coach and or general manager don't feel necessarily long-term security, think they need to win right away, does that affect your drafting? Because drafting a project is not going to work this year, right? Because you're not going to get that player in your hands likely until August. Is that going to impact the way people are drafted? So you're going to draft more ready-to-eat meals as opposed to meals that need 2 hours of sous chef work.
That is a great point. And I think Evan would fit into ready to play.
Yeah.
Austin Jackson, USC offensive lineman, needs a little more time to cook at the left tackle. But yeah, that's going to be fun to track. We'll be back. Obviously, we'll recap the whole draft as it gets going. And I think it'll be fun, Ted, to bring out some people once they're drafted so we can showcase to their new community who they are, whether that's Darnay Holmes, the cast of Joshua Kelly, all the types of players, Justin Herbert, Jacob Eason, that will kick out from this conference and hopefully at some point light up the NFL as their dreams come true in exactly a week, from today. Here we are Thursday. It's going to be a weird draft, but it's going to be an entertaining one. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's a weird draft. And so if you're Justin Herbert, you're looking, the question, look, there's going to be likely 4 quarterbacks taken in the first round. And if somebody believes in Jacob Eason's arm talent, because the arm talent we saw is clearly there, then that's 5, right? There's going to be 4, and Eason could be 5. But are you going to draft somebody who's, like the Herbert is a more ready, Burrow for sure. Herbert's a more ready to play guy. For example, a Tua, you don't know. He's coming off an injury, right? And you don't know. And Eason, Eason played 1 year at Georgia, now 1 year at Washington. Is that enough of a body of work? I think this is going to be something. I'm sure the draft people next week when the draft happens will talk this out. The analysts will talk this out. But I think it has to impact a certain number of the draft picks. Is just the fact that they don't know when they're physically going to have this draft pick in their building.
Yeah, really well said, man. All right, Ted, I love you, man. We're out of here. We'll get back to the next podcast next week, but make sure you check it out. Ted and Yogi's Pac-12 Adventure. For Evan Weaver, big thanks. Ted, for you as well, man. Good to see your face. And I got to get back to packing because we're moving in like T-minus 48 hours, and I haven't done squat around here. So I need Evan Weaver to come lift some boxes for me.
No, this is it. This is going to be your home squat rack, right? Your home squat rack. Squat and lift, right?
Yes. All right.
Perfect. Cool. Good form, Yogi. Good form.
Always. All right, brother. Take care.
See you.